want. So maybe they'll just coax their answer anyway and then ghost me later. I don't want that. So
right.
I do that to get the genuine response. And then after that, I'm like, yeah, I'm celibate. So that's how I do it.
Childish, girl, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I actually think that's very clever because, like you said, you will be dating someone and, you know, I think we all have this self that we present to the outside world, but then there's the real us. So even if they're not a master manipulator, people are going to try to give you what they think you want to hear.
What they think, yes, they're going to try to give their best.
Yes, in order to get to you, right? So if you're doing it, you're actually playing your own little manipulative game. But to save yourself,
I know.
You know, you're like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're like, look, if I tell them I'm celibate, but they really want to get in my drawers, they might really say, oh, that's fine. That ain't no problem. But if you tell them, like, if you ask them, like, hey, you know, in a calm way, like, oh, how do you feel about dating someone who's celibate? Or like, would you date someone who's celibate? And they'd be like, oh, hell no. Then you kind of have your answer right there, sis.
Girl, everything. First of all, let me tell you, you're slaying. Your hair is snatched. Your top is cute. Your skin is going. You're going off right now. Okay. You're smacking me. You're smacking me. You're wilding.
You look beautiful too. I forgot to tell you. You look.
Thank you. So, I was on a date with this one guy, right? And it was our second date. But he was tall, chocolate, full beard, nice waves, little dick. You know what I mean? He was cute. He was cute. So I was hoping he would be okay with it. We're playing 21 questions. I should have known this was coming because we're on like question 5-ish, and he already asked me something like
sexual.
really, yeah, like just doing the most already, right? And I was turned off by that, and I'm like, So my next question, and I had to phrase it differently because I could tell he's a very sharp man, right? And I could tell, so I was like, let me phrase it differently. Let me make it more playful so he knows that there's not a direct correlation for now.
Right.
So I was like, would you ever date somebody you couldn't hit? I said it like that, right? Literally, girl, he was like, hell no, never. Like I would, and I was just like, oh, what? Like playing with him. And then I got quiet and he got quiet and he looked at me and he was like, nah, it's you. I was like, yeah, I'm celibate. And lo and behold, like we went on the third date. Surprisingly, I thought he was gonna ghost me after that, and I was like, maybe like I don't know, because he also expressed to me like, you know, I have definitely felt like my life is more beneficial without sex, but I never harnessed that sort of self-control. And I was like, interesting. I never heard a man admit that, you know. And I was like, so maybe like he like wants to take the high road. Like I don't know, girl, no.
Girl, what ended up happening? You can't
this
just say girl
away
no.
is what happened. It was like maybe a month. So we went on a third date and we were chatting. And I had already seen, you know how you could just pick up things. Like I said, if you're intuitive, like sometimes you could just pick up things. And I picked up that he had an issue with consistency. I don't know why I picked that up. I asked him that directly at one point. I was like, do you have an issue with consistency? He's like, you know, I just be trying to, you know, keep my head and stuff. Sometimes it's so much stuff going on. I was like, yeah, he got an issue with consistency. But that's not my problem. Right? Yeah, right. Like, that's not my problem. So I didn't think that it would relate to everything. I thought maybe it just related to certain things. And then after about a month, him hitting me up, you know, every morning, every other morning, trying to make conversation, he dead just like went away. And we're adults. So I called him and I was like, yo, you good? And he probably wasn't expecting that, especially because he's from Cali. You know, different coasts have different energy. I feel like here, they're not as aggressive. Like East Coast girls be like, yo, what up?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Right. So I called him and he picked up and I'm like, yo, you good? And he's like, yeah, what do you mean? Da, da, da. I was like, oh, so we've been talking, or has it been dry? Like, what's going on? Like, is there something wrong? And he basically just denied it and went ghost. And I'm like, okay, well, I confronted you. I gave you a chance to say what you need to say. You didn't. And that's what happened.
Well, sis, you know what I look at that like? I said this on one of my stories a couple weeks ago. It's like a sifting, right? So there's certain people who not going to make it through that filter. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's like a crude analogy, but like, y'all get it.
Ooh, that's good.
Thank you. Certain people not going to make it through that first sifter. Like, they're not going to make it through that first strainer. And so you know what? Consider that you just like walking away unscathed. So let's just say you weren't celibate, right, sis? And you had sex with that man.
He would have got the draws, I'm telling you.
Girl, because he was fine.
He was fine.
The odds are, if he wasn't consistent, he wasn't consistent in many other aspects.
Exactly.
So that would have became a problem for you, sis. And
Literally.
even if y'all did get together, it would have probably been the detriment to the relationship.
It would have just compounded into an issue. Right.
You saved yourself from pointless situationship and getting your heart invested, opening up. I don't blame you for doing this, and that's why I admire you for what you're doing. So, thank you for being transparent and sharing that story with me, girl. We have all been there. Even with guys we opened up our legs to, we've been there.
Girl, they shady
here.
I feel like I've done it to guys too, though, so I can't even. I'm gonna just take the L's I took.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you, can you kind of compare and contrast what your dating life is like now that you're celibate as compared to how it was before you were celibate?
Okay, so it goes hand in hand with becoming older, but I think a lot of it really did come from like taking sex out the picture. So have you ever seen that meme that it was like, I don't go to Target with a list, I just go there with vibes? Girl! That was my dating life.
Girl, but that is mine.
I hope one of my sapphire sister from the sister circle, it's a small group of women, we're celibate. Shout out to Ashley. I don't know if she's listening right now, but Ashley put the group together. It's called the sister circle. And then the person who's like your biggest accountability, partner is your sapphire sister. And I think she's in here right now. Her name is Essence. Shout out to her. But she said something similar that had me dying. And I was like, me too. Like, that's how it was before. All vibes. You're funny. You cool. You kind of cute. You're cuter now that you're funny. It's a vibe. It's lit for you.
Sis, I didn't have no words.
I
didn't have no words because, wow, I just realized that was me. No list, just vibes. I'm here to smoke the candles and pick things up and put them back down when I get to the register.
I'm here to buy things I regret. I'm here to try new things.
Girl, yes.
Okay.
Wow. But let me not interrupt you. Yes. Proceed.
No, that was so that was my dating life before celibacy. Definitely vibes. I will say though, all of the relationships I've been in, I've definitely learned from, and I think we all do that with relationships. Yes. So I've definitely learned from. I also, when I was younger, especially with the career I have and just how I was brought up, I was very just distant, but as kind of like a trauma technique. So attachment styles, my attachment style is distant, like disconnected, but also anxious at the same time. That's what it was. I rebuke that. It's different now. It's way more secure now, but it was definitely like distant, dismissive then. Why did I say that? I said that specifically to say something. That's just what I'm saying. All my previous relationships, I do believe I really learned from, but I never thought that I wanted to be with anybody for a lifetime. So I wasn't thinking marriage then even, which made it easier to be just vibes. It's like, I ain't gonna marry out anyway. I don't want anybody around me that long, because naturally I was like distant, you know? Right. So it helped with the just vibes, no list thing. Now that I'm way more intentional and I feel like, okay, if we're not gonna have sex in the picture, right? Sex is a great time. Let's admit, it's a good time. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons, but it's a great time, right? So even if you get on my nerves in these 5 different principal areas, the sex is bomb, you're good, right? With that out of the picture, it's like I really need everything or most of the other things to be present. I need it to be present in you as an individual. I do not need to build them for you like I'm your mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
talk about it, because
right?
we do that. We're like, okay, you know, he cute, all vibes. He cute.